to the Project Return Online Classroom. I'm Miss Celia, and today we're going to continue our science lessons and learn about our 10 body systems. We know that the human body is super complex. It does multiple things at the same time, and we don't even have to think about it. We breathe, we pump blood and pump our heart, we also digest, and we can think all at the same time without us actually having to control those functions. But there are actually 10 body systems that are responsible for keeping our bodies alive and responsible for survival, all of which are super important and are all very interconnected. The first 4 body systems are probably the most important body systems that we have because they provide a stable foundation for the rest of our other body systems to function. So these are going to be our skeletal, our muscular, our cardiovascular, and our nervous systems. So let's go through each one of those. Our skeletal system makes up our bones. That's our skulls, our spinal cord, or the vertebrae protecting the spinal cord, the digits in our fingers, our bones. We actually have over 200 bones in the average adult body. And the bones are responsible for quite a few things. They give the body shape, so that's what gives ladies more of an hourglass shape because they have wider hips. It also keeps us standing upright. If we didn't have bones, we would all be piles of mush on the ground, right? Our bones keep the body together, give it shape, and protect our internal organs. Our rib cage, which is behind our chest, protects all of the organs we have right in here. Then we have our muscular system. Our muscular system attaches to our skeletal system, and this protects our bones, but it will also allow movement for our body. So I can't raise my hand without the use of muscles and ligaments in my body. And there's actually 3 types of muscle. There is our skeletal muscle, which is what attaches to our bones. And then we have our smooth muscle and our cardiac muscle, which makes up our heart. Moving on from there, we also have our cardiovascular system and capillaries, veins, and arteries that are responsible for transporting blood around the body, all stemming to and going towards our heart. And our blood is super important to our survival because it does a lot of things. It delivers oxygen around our body, which is energy. It also transports white blood cells, it transports nutrients and hormones around our body. Then we have our nervous system. Our nervous system is a network of nerve cells throughout our body that communicate, and they also can coordinate bodily functions. The major part of our nervous system is right up here. This is our brain, and this is the control center for our entire body, but is actually a part of the nervous system. Branching down from the brain, we have our spinal cord, which is protected by vertebrae, and the spinal cord branches out all over our body with other nerves to send signals and waves and other type of information throughout our body to coordinate our movement. It also allows us to process sensory information. So if we put our hand on a hot stove, our nerve cells is what communicates to our brain that it is hot and we need to remove our hand. So like I said, those 4 systems, our skeletal, muscular, cardiovascular, and nervous systems, provide a strong foundation for the rest of our bodily functions. The next 3 body systems that I want to talk about today are considered regulatory systems. And a regulatory system is something that makes sure our body is in check and make sure everything is balanced. We're achieving homeostasis, and homeostasis is a very scientific fancy word for balance in our cells. So our regulatory system is what's responsible for keeping things balanced and controlled, making sure we don't have too much of one hormone or too little of something else in our body. Our first regulatory system that I want to talk about is our endocrine system. And our endocrine system is a series of glands throughout our body that processes and produces hormones based on the information brought to them by our nervous system. So these glands, for example, we have our thyroid gland, which is right here in our neck. Our thyroid gland is responsible for producing hormones, and then those hormones that the glands produce is then carried to other parts of our body through our circulatory system. So you can kind of start to see how all of these systems are super interconnected. Without the cardiovascular system, the hormones that our thyroid creates cannot be transported around our body and therefore would have no function. So we really need all of these systems to run routinely and properly to make sure everything stays good. The next regulatory system that I want to talk about is our lymphatic system. Our lymphatic system is also known as our immune system, and this is what is responsible for fighting off illness and disease in our body. It is a collection of lymph nodes that are throughout our body. We have some behind our ear, in our necks, and elsewhere internally. And this, like I said, protects us against disease and regulates the body, and it also heals us when we get hurt. For example, if I get a cut on my arm right here, my lymphatic system is what sends white blood cells to that area to begin healing. White blood cells are within our blood, and they are responsible for healing the body. So when I get a cut, white blood cells will flood the area and make sure that that cut gets healed quickly and as cleanly and routinely as possible. And then we also have our urinary system. Our urinary system includes our kidneys, our bladders, and everything we use to go number one. And the urinary system is super, super important because it filters our blood through our kidneys and gets rid of that excess waste and nutrients that we no longer need in our blood. And that's what turns into urine. So if you are not urinating or you are not urinating often enough, then that can become an issue with your urinary and you should see a doctor. And then beyond our three regulatory systems, we have energy systems. The energy is super, super important because that's what allows our body to function and work as well as it can. Energy can come from two places and is digested in two different systems. The first of which is our digestive system. So our primary place of energy can come from food. So our digestive system is actually a series of about 30 feet long. It's about 30 feet long, and it consists of different organs, including the esophagus. From when food enters, it goes down the esophagus, lands in our stomach, and then gets transported to our small or large intestine, and then is also broken down by the liver as well. And this digestive system is what's responsible for turning food into energy and then expelling the excess waste no longer needed from the food we eat. The other place that our energy is produced is within our respiratory system. And our respiratory system is what's responsible for allowing us to breathe in and out every day. We don't even have to think about it anymore. Respiratory, respire means breath, breathing. So that's how we can keep that in mind. Air enters through our nostrils and is transported down our throat into our lungs. So when we breathe in, we notice our chest gets fuller. That is because our lungs are full, and what's happening there is that there are sensory pieces in our lungs that can take the oxygen out of the air and transport it and turn it into energy and transport it into our blood to carry energy throughout our entire body. And then that excess air that is not oxygen that we no longer need is converted into carbon dioxide and then released when we breathe out. I'm breathing in oxygen, I'm breathing out carbon dioxide. And then, as I said, each of these body systems really do rely on each other to get the job done. But all of our body systems are developed, all of our organs, our bones, our muscles are all developed during reproduction. So the last body system that I want to talk about today is the reproductive system. We know that the reproductive system, the organs that it consists of, vary based on sex. Women have different reproductive systems than males do, of course, but in both sexes it is responsible for the development and creation of human life, and therefore that's where all of our body systems really stem from. So, if one of our body systems is not functioning properly, it can have a domino effect on the rest of our body. For example, if our blood is not pumping as fiercely as it should be within our cardiovascular system, then you might experience a lack of oxygen to your fingers and toes. Or if our nerve systems are not functioning as well as they should be, you may get burned, but you won't feel that you get burned, so it might cause more damage than it actually needs to. It is extremely important when it comes to our body that we are checking up on it regularly. This means going to the doctor at least once a year for your physical checkup, and as you get older, you'll likely need to be going more often. But if you think something is up with your body, something feels off, or just something isn't functioning the way it used to be, I strongly encourage you to talk to your physician about it to make sure that you catch it early. Remember that you need to be completely honest with your doctor, okay? Your doctor is not there to judge you or make you feel bad about your choices and your decisions. Your doctor is there to make sure your body is healthy and functioning the best that it can. And if we lie to our doctors, then we prevent them from being able to do that job. And also, taking care of your body is super, super important because that allows our body to function in tip-top shape. So that includes things like hygiene and keeping our body clean, eating healthy and getting proper nutrition, making sure our body has all the energy that it could need, and also exercising regularly is super important as well. And then finally, taking care of your mind, right? Taking care of your mind is just as important as taking care of your physical health, because we know that our brain and our physical health are interconnected. So when one does not function best, it affects the other. So if our brain is feeling not so hot, then the rest of us probably isn't feeling not so hot, right? So mental health is just as important as your physical health, and they definitely go hand in hand. Self-care and mental health care is essential for making sure that your body can function as well as it can. And if you have something going on, I definitely encourage you to go talk to a psychologist, a psychiatrist, or some other mental health professional so they can assist you in a professional way and help you to feel as good as you can. Thank you guys so much for joining me on today's science video. Thanks for returning to the Project Return online classroom. I will see you guys in the next video, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Bye!